So yesterday I started a new job at a plastic surgery center. I was, I guess, a nurse or some shit. And it was my first day, so this other nurse was showing me around. And the first thing was intake, and a woman came in wanting a nose job, and we fucking did whatever we had to do with her. And then she took me to this other room, and it was post-op, and there were 3 beds with curtains around them. And I remember seeing 2 ladies. One had a bandage on her face and nose, and the other one had one around her chest, right? Obviously what they had done, but I couldn't see the third. And I didn't really give a shit. She's like, do you want to stay in post-op or do you want to finish orientation? I'm like, I'm down for orientation, right? So she takes me through these other doors, and it leads me to this giant fucking warehouse. Like, it was like a Costco or Ikea or some shit. And across the way was like a classroom. And I walked up to it, and there's this pony wall, and there were desks and children sitting in there, and I saw my daughter Hope, and it was like her kindergarten self, right? They were that young. And I'm trying to get Hope's attention, and I'm waving and shit, and there was this other kid that was waving back at me and sticking her fucking tongue out at me and shit. I'm like, I want to be like, get the fuck out of the way, you little brat, right? I want to see my fucking daughter. And finally, I got my daughter's attention, and she came up to me, and I picked her up from the pony wall, and I hugged her, and I said, hey, have a good day at school. I'm going to finish my orientation. I'll check back later, right? She goes, okay, Dad. You know, we went and sat fucking back down. And so this nurse took me back through orientation. And we're going through this warehouse at a plastic surgery center for whatever reason. And I noticed there were stacks of Miller Lite, like cases of Miller Lite, like high up, like 30 high, right? And she says to this dude, hey, policy is 12 high. You know, reduce the stack of Miller Lights. And so this guy gets a fucking ladder and starts going up and taking these Miller Lite cases down and fixing it. This nurse was a you know, pretty strict. And then she takes me to this other area, and it was like a nursery, but it wasn't like mother's nursing. No, it was trees and shrubs and shit. It was a garden nursery, and there was this big slate rock wall, and it was just full of shrubs and trees up all the way to the top. And the nurse starts fucking yelling. She's like, policy is that shrubs and trees can only go halfway up the wall. Somebody fix this now. And this fucking old guy with no shirt comes over, and he's got these moles and shit all over him. And it's really fucking gross, but he fucking starts climbing up this wall, and he's fucking throwing shrubs and trees down onto the ground, and we're like just trying to avoid him, right? And then I hear a saw, right? And then here comes a fucking palm tree coming down to the ground. And he's just fucking cutting everything from the side of this wall, and he's doing it so fucking fast, it's like a fucking mess. Finally, all you see is this bare fucking wall with shrubs below. And she's like, that's perfect. Policy is, you know, it's acceptable. And this guy fucking starts climbing down the fucking wall, but his hands are fucking start stretching, and they get really fucking long. It's like Stretch Armstrong, right? And he fucking lowers himself to the ground on these long-ass arms. I was like, what the fuck is going on, right? And then she takes me out behind this nursery center, and there's my daughter again. She's like in recess. And, you know, my daughter has this nose ring, and it was missing. I said, Hope, where's your nose ring? Oh, she goes, it fell out. My cousin spanked me so hard it came out. I was like, what? I was like, what the fuck did you say? Your cousin spanked you hard enough to knock your nose ring out? It's okay, Dad, it's okay. I said, fuck that shit. And I tried to call him on my phone, and, you know, like in dreams, I cannot dial on my phone. I was fucking livid. And she's like, Mom says it's unacceptable to say anything about it. I said, fuck your mom, and fuck your cousin. This needs to be dealt with, right? I was furious, and she started crying, and I was like, Hope, don't cry, please. I don't like when you get hurt, right? And then I woke up. There was a lot going on at that plastic surgery center.